Hello everyone, this is Sapna from RPIIT Medical and Technical Campus. In previous class, we will discussed about the carbohydrates chemistry and their absorption and digestion. In today's video, we are going to discuss about carbohydrates metabolism. So, what is the carbohydrates metabolism? The metabolism means the breakdown and synthesis of carbohydrates from its complex units to its simpler units and its simpler units to its complex units. Metabolism is divided into anabolism and catabolism. Catabolism means breakdown of any complex unit into a simpler unit, and anabolism means the synthesis of a complex unit from the simpler units. In carbohydrates metabolism, first of all, we will study about the first reaction, that is known as glycolysis. So, what is glycolysis? Here, glyco indicates glucose and lysis indicates breakdown. So, glycolysis is the breakdown process of a polymer of carbohydrates into a simpler unit. Glycolysis occurs in almost every living cell. It was the first metabolic sequence to be studied. This pathway is also called embedded Myers of pathway, means EM pathway. It occurs in cytosol of a cell. So, what is glycolysis? It is defined as a sequence of reactions converting glucose to pyruvate or lactate with the production of ATP. Glycolysis in the occurs in the absence of oxygen, anaerobic or in presence of oxygen in aerobic conditions. Lactate is the end product under anaerobic condition. In aerobic condition, pyruvate is formed, which is then oxidized to carbon dioxide and hydrogen oxide. Glycolysis is the major pathway for adenosine triphosphate synthesis in tissues lacking mitochondria, for example, erythrocytes, cornea, and lenses, etc. Glycolysis is very essential for brain, which is depend on glucose for energy. Here we will study about the reaction of glycolysis. The reaction of glycolysis is divided into three distinct phases. The first phase is energy investment phase or the primary phase. In this phase, glucose is converted into glucose 6 phosphate in the presence of enzyme hexokinase or glucokinase. Here ATP is converted into ADP, and then glucose 6 phosphate is converted into fructose 6 phosphate in presence of phosphohexoisomerase enzyme, and then fructose 6 phosphate is converted into fructose 1,6 bisphosphate in presence of phosphofructokinase enzyme. So this is the energy investment phase, because here energy is invested in the form of ATP and it is converted in the form of ADP. The next phase is splitting phase. In this phase, fructose 1,6 bisphosphate is splitted into glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate and dihydroxyacetone phosphate in presence of aldolase enzyme. Then here is the starting of energy generation phase, where the energy is generated. In primary phase, the energy is consumed by glycolysis, but in the last phase, this is also known as energy generation phase and energy yielding phase, in which energy is produced and formed. Here, glyceraldehyde 3 phosphate is converted into 1,2 bisphosphoglycerate in presence of glyceraldehyde 3p dehydrogenase enzyme. 1,2 bisphosphoglycerate is then converted into 3-phosphoglycerate in presence of enzyme phosphoglycerate mutase, and then 3-phosphoglycerate is converted into phosphoglycerate in presence of enolase fluoride enzyme in phosphoenol pyruvate. And then phosphoenol pyruvate is converted into pyruvate. Here is the aerobic condition in presence of pyruvate kinase, and ADP is converted into ATP. That's why it is known as energy yielding phase. And then pyruvate in anaerobic condition in presence of lactate dehydrogenase enzyme is converted into lactate, and here NADP is converted into NADH. So this is all the reaction of glycolysis. Now we will discuss about the energy yielding from glycolysis. During anaerobic phase, one molecule of glucose is converted into two molecules of lactate. There is a net yield of two molecules of ATPs. Four molecules of ATPs are synthesized by two substrate level of phosphorylation, and here two ATP molecules are used in step first and third, hence net yielding is 2 ATP. During aerobic phase, two NADH molecules are generated in glyceraldehyde and 3 phospho dehydrogenase reactions enter in ETC electron transport chain, and here NADH provide 3 ATPs. This reaction generates here 3 multiplied by 2 is equals to 6 ATPs. So total ATPs here which we get are 6 plus 2 is equals to 8 ATPs are synthesized from 1 unit of glycolysis. Thank you. The next we will discuss about in next video.